Welcome, everybody. Listen, yesterday's critique was a wonderful critique of some absolutely stunning images. File was corrupted. I got up early this morning, Sunday morning. It's 5 o'clock. Sun isn't up yet. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's 6 o'clock. I don't know what the hell. No, still 5 o'clock here in Arizona because we don't ever do daylight savings time. I guess we're just not cool enough. Anyway, I'm going to look back through the images here, give some critiques that we did yesterday, because I think the images are worth you guys getting a little bit of credit for what you've done, because you did some beautiful work. Let's take a look, shall we? And I'm going to share the screen right now. And first up is Joe Cosentino with his lipstick shot. The assignment was cosmetics, and that's what we're looking at. These are cosmetics that the photographers have picked up frequently at the dollar store. These are dollar store lipsticks that Joe's doing here. And I really sort of very much liked the highlights on the size of the lipstick. Now, Joe knows what he's doing. Joe's a studio photographer, and he does really, really clean work. This is exactly the kind of work I expect. And he put the lipsticks in front of the white. He's got it sitting on white, and he's got the blue plate back here, which can be used for, photography use it for, a designer use it for text or what have you. But the flatness of the plates with the roundness of the lipstick, how he's lit it with two boxes either side, it's really, really clean. Let's take a look at his lighting setup. I think these setup shots are so invaluable for photographers to learn. So he's got his two boxes on both sides. You can see he's got them in really tight to his product here, sitting right on the floor, giving the full length of this soft box to that highlight. Let's take a look at it again. See how clean it is? All the way up. Really nice shot by Joe Cosentino. Christina Marie Langford has this shot is incredible color. I mean, it's just magical. A couple of things that I saw here in this picture. It looks like the shot is done with what is called studio dark. Now, studio dark means uncontrolled background. In other words, there's not enough light going on the subject back here or the background, or maybe there's, who knows, seamless paper hanging or stands or whatnot. There's not enough light back there for it to expose because all the light's right here. But studio black is somewhat uncontrolled. It can work. In some cases, it works beautifully. In other cases, not so much. But we've got these patterns going here, and I'd like to see this be very smooth going up here. I like the idea of some of the lines here. We lose the cap into the background, and what I would like to see is maybe the cap, here comes down. Maybe we get a little bit of a light coming from here, softbox back here to put a little light down this edge. That's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is to gradient the background. So it's lighter here and darker here. We're putting the dark side against the lit part of the subject here, of that cap, and the lighter side, more of a gray, dark gray, against that cap. So it goes from dark gray to black here, and it goes from white to black here. That split gradient really makes something stand out, and would be another way for that cap to stand out. We don't have the photographers with me this morning at 5 o'clock on a Sunday morning. There was no volunteer for that. I don't know what this little cube is that it's sitting on here, but obviously it's luminance, and that's some sort of LED light, tap light. Acrylic block. Room is all natural light, and that's exactly what I thought. That's why it's a little, highlights are a little messy here. Even if it's natural light, we can still control that light with white boards. Craig Hauser has this shot here. It's in everything in your place sort of layout. We've got some real nice light across this. The brushes look good. The highlights look really good. You can see that this chrome handle is super shiny, this part of the handle. And this part down here is got a texture to it. It's a little softer, a little more diffused. And you can see that the way the highlight breaks here. Same highlight rendering two different ways, which tells us what that surface is. We know that. All of us know that. You don't have to be a photographer to know it. The label, the logo turns out to be pretty good. I think we need a little more depth of field to pull the front of this brush in. You know, something like this really does need to be very, very much in focus, but a very clean, nicely done shot. Let's look at the behind the scenes here. This guy's big scrim to the side, light behind the scrim, and there's a whiteboard that's not showing, but he generally put the whiteboard, he said, right about here to catch some reflection off this light and give the makeup brushes something to reflect. So pretty clean way to do it here. This is Cat Vibe, and Cat turned in two. She turned in this one, and really nicely done. You see the lights above it. It's a very small light. It's a point source speed light coming through these holes, which are creating these little round circles here onto a, and the reasons that the circles are so perfectly round is because the cookie, as you can see, the cookie is very close to the surface. The light is very far away from the cookie. So the cookie gives a very sharp little round circle. It's also a metallic bronze board. And so that metallic bronze board is just basically showing us the inside, underside of that cookie and the light above it. So very nicely done. This is a reflection. This is not light coming through like a spotlight. Hope you all see that. It's a reflection. So we have this, and I don't know where the other one went. Where'd it go? Where'd it go, Cat? Interesting. Okay, I lost that other shot. It's the underside. That's a reflection of the bottom of that thing with the holes cut in it. It's not light pooling up like a snoot would do. Okay, this is metallic, so it works with light different than if it was a diffuse subject. But this is the shot that she turned in. I like it a lot. There's a lot of dynamics to this thing. Lots of stuff going on here. Really, really like that shot. Let me go back real quick. The colors, there's a couple of different blends that she's done here. This is not a single shot. The brush is a single shot, but all of this stuff up here is from multiple shots, and it's just a really exciting photograph. I like it very much. This is how she's done it. She put her brush back here, and she's lighting the under part of this board, which is white. And this is something I really, really like, and something we're going to be doing more of in Project 52, and that is lighting with whiteboards. There's, like 4 sources. There's direct light, like from a reflector. There's light from a softbox. It's more than 4. There's light from an umbrella. Octabox is another softbox type thing. And there's scrim lighting, and I love scrim lighting because scrim lighting, you can control gradients and things. But the other way I like to light is with a whiteboard. So you can use the whiteboard with your light, just like a softbox or a scrim. You're just reflecting that light back on rather than going through a scrim. It's slightly different, but it's very similar. And you can do an awful lot with whiteboards. There's no reason why you can't do really professional looking work with 2 pieces of dollar foam core and a speed light. Trust me, you'll see in the future here. Lawrence Kelly, with some interesting lines here on the front of this that I don't understand. I love the way the cap is picking up the the vase or whatever that is over there. The light is pretty nice all the way through. Great colors. It's just this muted color that I like. The cap, everything in here looks pretty good. Having our logo fade off, not good. Got to bring that logo back. Got to get in here very small, get very small and fix this, whether you burn those letters down or what, but they can't disappear into the reflection of the light. This is a very diffused subject, so it's not giving us a sharp reflection like the cap is, but it's still giving us a reflection. And these letters are ink. They have more of a reflective surface than the bottle itself. So it's starting to lighten up there from the reflection of the light source. Nice clean shot done here with natural light. And studio black, I think, is what's happening over here. And I think the studio black is what's giving us this sort of, I don't know what that is there. I cleaned that up just a little bit. But it's the something out here is reflecting, and I don't know, camera's over here coming this way. It's whatever is causing a reflection is obviously out in this area right here. All right. Arnold turned in 2 shots. He has this one that he did as a lay flat, and I think I really like this. In fact, I like it better than this one because I think this one's very difficult to look at. And when you're using glass, you got to make sure those edges are absolutely clean. This glass is a little beat up down here, but this tangent, not good. Bring this over here so we don't have this tangent line of that background running into this. The lipsticks are lit very, very nicely, and I'm super jazzed how he did it. I'll show you here in a second, but I want to go back to the lay flat because I think the lay flat, that difference in the red and the black, everything is very, very cool. Possibly use a little bit better highlighting on this brush down here, and the brush is disappearing. So maybe we change the color of the brush here, Arnold. We bring that brush to a lighter brush so we see it. We can do that in Photoshop, obviously. But all these little angles and things I think are very, very cool in this. How did he light it? You can see here, he's got everything. He's got different layers for the black and the red down here. Very interesting setup. Very cool. Complex setup. All right, and this is the thing that I wanted to show you here. This is how Arnold lit these. This is old school, folks. So if those of you are thinking, well, couldn't we just shoot one lipstick in Photoshop and clone it across? Well, of course you could. You know, I would maybe shoot one lipstick in camera and just change the highlight a little bit, understanding that there's going to be 3 in a row. And if they are absolutely perfect, it's going to look a little funny. If they're too far off, it's going to look a little bad. So Arnold has little white cards in here, adding backlines to these lipsticks. This white card adding backline to this one adding backline to that one, this one doing this one. It's really, really cool. Our light source doing the other one. So when you go back and you look at the shot, we get these little light sources here. They're very subtle, and we don't know where they're coming from. We don't ask. We feel that there's reason for it in the picture. So really well done, Arnold. Jen Wilding, these are also some makeup, some eyelash things, I think she said. Soft muted color. Jen is new to this, new photographer to Tabletop. Our logo down here looks pretty good. Our logo up here doesn't. And this is where perhaps bringing a second white card in to the shot here for a second shot to light this up with camera. Now it's going to light this up. It's going to stop right about there, or right about there somewhere. That's fine. That's fine, because you're just going to drop that one below this one, and just reveal this logo with a mask, just bring it back so you can make multiple shots with it. We're going to have to watch our backgrounds here. I think this idea of the material looks pretty good. Her material actually does look pretty good. Little wrinkles here and there that should be cloned out. But overall, it looks really good. When we get back here, we have too many little things. There's too much action in the back. And that's where there should be no action. And the action should be up front. Lovely shot, though. You know, when you're first starting out into this thing on a table, really, really good work. And this is how she did it. She did a really nice job. And she could have pulled these cards forward. She said she wished the background was brighter. She's blocking it off with these cards, which are giving her edges here. But she could have brought these cards closer this way, still got the edge, and let a little bit of the light from the boxes hit the background. Right now, we're flagging the background off. We're actually making it darker. So moving these cards forward a little bit, letting a couple inches of softbox light the background, would have brought that background up a bit. And the black cards would still, I believe, serve the same purpose. You can also, by the way, put the black cards facing us like this. Because all you need is this thing to reflect that black card. We're not seeing it. And that way, that would let most of the softbox spill onto the background. You don't have to put the cards flat to the light. They're just there to add a little bit of a reflection to the makeup. Come on, Zoom, do your thing. Thank you. Michelle York, really like this, Michelle. I think I think you got really something going here that's very cool. I think I would have brought this paper starting to curl down over here, than to have it go straight out, because it's like it doesn't wrap around our objects, and compositionally it just sort of leaves us hanging over here. Go ahead and pull it down a little bit. I think that would be very, very cool. And then somehow we've got to get some light on these sides of the product, whether you put a white card back here for some reflection, or you put a light behind the red, just putting a little bit of a glow on the background like this. So the background's a little bit brighter here, going off into the dark, to let these pens stand out. They stand out fine from the red because of the color, but we've got to get a way to on the back to separate them from the background. Not a bad shot at all. Got the logo in here. Very nice. Getting there, Michelle. Very nice. This is how she did it. Bob Royer shot the eyelash material separate from the head here, which is one of those little styrofoam heads. We put the fake eyelashes on it, and boy, those are some fake eyelashes. It's a composite shot. It's pretty cool, but I think what we need to do, Bob, is we need to find a imaginary horizon line if we can. But at this point, we need to get a little drop shadow under here. Just a little drop shadow this way. Just a little soft, tiny drop shadow, so that this thing doesn't feel like it's just exploding right in front of our face. To have the item just floating in front, it's a dimension thing, and it doesn't pull us into the picture. So we can do a little bit of adjusting with that. The light on the unit looks very good. It's got several exposures to get all of this lit up and then blended together. So Bob Royer did a nice job here. How he did it. Norm Wright. These are a dollar store lipstick and dollar store sunglasses, done pretty well. You never know about the wetness. You can do pretty much anything for your portfolio, make it really, really great. You don't have to, when you're working on your portfolio, you're working on these types of shots. These are proof of concept shots. These are shots that you're having to be the art director on. Obviously, you don't have an art director. So you get to call the shots. There's no right or wrong. Would Maybelline put water on the lipstick? I don't know. Probably not. But somebody else may, just because they want to show that it's, you know, wet and wild. So the idea of putting the water droplets on here, it's totally up to you as a photographer. They're very busy. I think it's nicely done. They're very busy, but still, that's okay. Try these things. A little reflection off the cap here, which I think is cool. And then he's got a strobe on the background. No, I'm sorry. He's got a gridded box here. Now the grid is not letting the softbox spill. So what you're seeing is the edge of the light stop there on that curved background as it curves up. Isn't that a nice way to get a gradient that way? It's really cool. It's a nice idea. And it's the grid that keeps the light from falling off. If the grid wasn't on the softbox, the strip box here, if the grid wasn't here, the softbox would light all of it from, you know, up here to down here. So the grid controls the light. Grids are an option. Some people don't use them. They prefer flags and things, and some people use them because they essentially are, in a way, like barn doors for your softbox. But nicely done shot here by Norm Wright. Mark Shaw got his focus from here to there. Nicely done. That's all in focus. The brushes line up nicely. I love the way he got each brush to reflect in the brush behind it. Very cool. Great lighting on top. He's using a scrim with a light in very close, and this is kind of a cool way to light. So he's got this sort of gradient from very bright down, and you can see the light itself starts to fall off. That's very cool. It's not something that you or the consumer or anybody sees and goes, oh, look, the light's grading off. You don't see it, but you feel it. You feel an interest happening here. The eye likes to play. And when we, you know, one of the things about a scrim is that you can create light that moves, you know, from bright to dark with a big soft reflection on the subject. And that's what Mark's done here. Nicely done. I'll show you his behind the scenes here. And you can see it's a big scrim with a 8200 with a reflector on it, and then the little sock on the reflector, which turns this into a tiny little round softbox. And he's brought that tiny round softbox in close to his scrim. So if you took a picture of the scrim, it'd be really bright right here and then falling off as it went around the scrim. But believe me, that light's going to light the whole scrim up. It's just going to be a little hotter here in the middle. And he uses that hot spot as a design element in his photography. See a little bit brighter here, going down. You can see the light fading off the scrim, away from the light source. Very clean. Anna Marie, since yesterday, has fixed this shot. And the thing that all we wanted her to do on the shot was make this cap read a little bit, maybe grab this much of the cap and lighten it. Move it up and lighten it. And then you have to, if you do that, you're going to have a sharp edge here. Then you have to blend that edge into the darkness of the cap, because this cap is not glossy. It's a matte cap, and that's not getting any reflection. And when you look at the picture, we get these beautiful flowers that are over here reflecting back here. We've got the little drip, everything, but then that little black thing looked like just a blob. She's fixed that now. And it's over on the Facebook page for this group, which is open. And you can see it there, but nicely done. The little drop is really, really cool. So a couple of different shots put together here by Anna Marie, and it's ends up being a really cool shot. I thought it'd make a really nice double truck, you know, 2-pager. It'd be very cool. Now she did it. Big box, got a there's a light back here doing something to the background. And honestly, I'm not gonna hazard a guess. I can't remember what it was, but there's something. But I think, yes, it's lighting the background separately. The background becomes very bright then, and then reflects on the top of the bottle. And we've got the great little fill card up front to give us the logo. Very clean. This is Dean, and it's a blown up logo. He said, I don't know what the logo is for, but whatever the case, it's multiple shots. He's done a pretty cool job with it. Very interesting shot. My critique, and this is how it's being done. This was copper paper, like wrapping paper or whatever, but you can use it as a surface. He's doing this very cool thing with it. But my criticism of it was, I think the color, this pinkish color, doesn't go with this shot. I think it'd be easier to fix the color in the top of the lipstick here to blend with the rest of it, or bounce off the rest of it or something. But the pink just doesn't work for me. But also at the same time, there's somebody that may be out there and go, yeah, this pink doesn't work. Precisely why we should use it, because it really jumps off the page and it's uncomfortable and it twists the brain a little bit. Totally, I get it. But for me, we just changed that up a little bit. And this is how he did it. He's got his light over here. Looks like a globe light and the copper paper. So a lot of different pictures put together there for that one. Ilona, nice shot. We've got a couple of different pictures going on here, obviously. We've got that's one shot, that's one shot. The splash is one shot. The flowing water is one shot, and the items are one shot. And my critique on this one is this side is too bright against that background. Got to either darken this side by putting a black card back here for this thing to reflect, or darkening the background and putting in a gradient. So it goes from a little bit of a medium gray, maybe a medium gray, up to white over here. But a lot of people these days like pure white backgrounds. That's a stylistic trend. Shooting on white it's real. It's not going to go away. It's real. So shooting on white is something that we need to know how to do. So we need to fix that. She can fix it in Photoshop by just pulling this off the back and doing a very slight burn there. In the lighting, she's got this hard light here, and it's shiny. Again, Ilona's using white cards for lighting. Really nice way to work, using white cards for lighting. But the flash reflector is spilling onto that shiny card here. So we need to either block this flash with a card like this. Come on, zoom. A card like this to flag that off, so this flash isn't hitting this, which would probably do the job. Keep all this light over here, so you can see how this would then block the light from hitting the side of this. Okay, and then I think she's using some window light as well, so it's a blend of window light and strobe. So very nice. Let's look at the shot itself. Nice shot. Nice highlights through here. The little beads of water look pretty cool. Now that blocking that off is going to change the way this light works on this water here. So how do you do that? Well, you work very diligently to find the right part of that, where that white card goes, that it will block the light off the side, but still give you the light on these bubbles here. And it can be done. There's a point. Slide it back 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, 1/8 of an inch. You'll get it to where it keeps the light off of here, or softens the light hitting there, and still keeps those bubbles lit up like that. Working on the table is fun. but it's always a challenge. I don't care if you've been doing it for a week or you've been doing it for a decade. It's always a challenge. You're always working hard to create something out of nothing sometimes. Here we've got some nice little highlights. The photographer, Judy, added some, got some white cards back there, did the job. The front of this thing got a little bit too dark. Now we want to turn this bottle so we don't see that stuff. And this, it's got a box on it. You see that box? Goes to there. We want to center that box. One way to do this is to put a white card next to the camera lens. That should brighten this up, especially when you see how she lit it, lights on each side. That white card right, just lean it right against the camera or in axis of the camera should light that up pretty well. Or you can take a second shot with a card coming in like that, light this up, and then blend that one into this. You don't want to lose this little bit of darkness in the front and brightness on the side. That's what makes it round. Okay, if you just flatten it out and it's all the same, that's not good either. So, just bring it up a little bit. And again, you could probably do it in Photoshop fairly simply as well. Nice little shot. I want the rose to come up more. It's almost an afterthought now because it's dark and muddy. Let's bring it up and see it. If we're going to put a prop into a shot, we've got to put that prop in with the idea that it's part of the picture. It can't be a throwaway. This rose it's kind of hidden by the slate here, but compositionally, maybe do something else with it, but we can't let it go muddy. Okay, that we cannot do. Oh, sorry, got to go back. And this is the lighting setup. It's got lights on both sides. So a white card, standing up. I click on it and damn thing didn't, white card just standing right up next to the camera. It's gonna pull enough light off these two things to light the front of that jar up a little bit. So nice clean way to do it. Oops, did I mean to do that? I didn't mean to do that. There's some more to look at. And we got Jay Chatskulls. This is water. It's an old rusty pan. It's water. Jay was trying out some new lights. Personally, I don't think they work. I don't think Jay thinks they worked either. They're too poppy. They're too crazy here. But like every good photographer, you're out there working hard to try to find something that does something cool. Well, this is how you do it. You just experiment and experiment and then experiment some more, and Jay's experiment led him to this kind of really interesting reflection thing in the water here. So where the light source idea isn't working, there's a shot to be made here with this beautiful reflection. So you go back to the drawing board, you grab your shell, and you start to dig through this, because there's definitely a shot to be made with this brown rusty thing under the water. The water is very still and giving that perfect reflection here. That's the fun of working on the tabletop and experimenting and finding out what does work and where you want to go with it. This is how we lit it. These little panel lights are they're just not, you put a scrim in front of them and they're fine, but they're just not made for this type of thing at all. Too poppy. I love this shot by Terry McDermott. She, it's got all this focus up here on this little thing, and that one goes back. These brushes are actually in a cup in front of, they're over here somewhere. So they're reflecting, and the scissors obviously reflecting right from there. So there's a lot of interest going on this picture. And as a designer, I mean, oh man, yeah, you could just, it'd be a great little ad, all kinds of places to tuck copy in and stuff. And this sort of way out of focus thing is kind of interesting. We discovered focus stacking, a decade ago, and then everything gets focus stacked. It's sometimes when everybody's zigging, you want to zag a little bit, and this is a nicely done image in that style. That sort of let's just go the other way and just drop everything out out of focus and see what we come up with. So it's experimental, and that's always, always cool. So nicely done. This is how she lit it. One continuous bulb, lots of white cards, and camera sneaking in right from basically where we are. And you can see the brushes that are reflecting in the mirror. So this is the kind of shot that you learn from. Whether this shot goes in her portfolio or not is not important. What's important is that she's got this reference shot. How did this work? How did that work? How did the cards work? How did the light do on these things? How is exposure? What can I do with contrast? All of these things that you take forward from every shot. You learn something and you take it forward. And that's a great way to work on the table. Absolutely great. Patricia Keegan. This is a compact splash down into powder, compact powder. She's got gelled orange gel back here. She's bouncing off a white card here. She's got this very small softbox, wisely covered in plastic because the stuff is going to mess up the front of the softbox. My critique was, I think this little box is too far away. I think we need to get it down lower to give more of a highlight of something going on that cap, on this thing. We need more life to this. We need more highlight somewhere. Get that thing in really, really close. We could put a card underneath it and light it up as well, and then blend it in Photoshop. But I think that we just need to get something in there really, really, really tight. I like the greens and the oranges. That's really cool. The logo stands out pretty well, but if we get something up here and give a nice gradient across the top, a bit brighter to darker this way, we have some motion in the light, and we'll see that number 7 logo even better. Patricia Keegan, a nice job. Yanis Tilkas is a great photographer in Greece. I love his work. It's always fun to see what Yanis comes up with, and he did a great job with this. And we were talking about, the way to separate your work from everybody else. This is one way that you separate your work from everybody else's, is you go the extra mile. You go just a little bit farther. So Yanis has several images put together here. This is a composite shot. It's worked this thing so it's perfect. Then he's put it with its own frame around it. Do you see the little gray frame? Just sort of almost disappearing up here. And I say almost, I mean almost. It doesn't totally disappear. So he's added this little frame to a shot that I would bet 90% of the photographers who shot this would have been happy at this point, where they shot it against black and had this reflection. But Yanis goes a little bit farther and adds this other layer of dimension to it. And that's so exciting to see building from this to this to this to this to this. Everybody can do something, only a few people get to the top. It's the same as climbing a mountain. There's a mountain down the street from me that people walk up. And down at the bottom of the mountain, a lot of people. Up at the top of the mountain, not so many people. And people will walk halfway and turn around, pop 3/4 of the way and turn around, or they'll hike up to the part right at the end, and then that son of a gun is just straight up. I mean, it is really vertical, and you've got to put everything into it to get up to the top, which is interesting because you're now at the end of your climb. You have the hardest part of the climb is at the end, and some people get to there and they turn around. But the people make it to the top. They've just gone a little bit farther, and you're rewarded with an incredible view. You have a view of the Valley of the Sun, Phoenix to that side, and you've got all of Albuquerque out to Maricopa on this side, and it's like being on top of the world. But you got to get there, and that's one of the things that photographers like Yanis do. They get there. They work as hard as they can to get above, and several of our photographers here, Arnold always works super hard. For those of you in the class, these are 2 photographers who really look at and see how they do it. And others as well. Lots of really wonderful photographers in this group, I got to tell you. So listen, I'm really sorry about the recording yesterday. It just did not work. So I hope that this, in its own way, makes up for it and makes up for that loss. We didn't have the banter today. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not finished. Hold on. We have Asha's photograph here. Very well done. Nice little reflection down on this. And this is a black shiny cap. And so we got the highlights down it. This one's a very sharp highlights. We'll look at a little bit of a softness to it. That's always fun to play with. The caps look really great. And the reflection is a very simple shot. I want Asha to clean that highlight up, put a little bit of light up here. We're talking in Photoshop, just brightness just a little bit here, and then put it in the Facebook page, because the difference is going to be amazing. It's huge. Right now, when we look at, we see that crease. We see these little things here. And that is like the most important part of this photograph is right there. The creamy, semi-liquid feel of the lipstick. Everything has to be just so perfect. And she's right on that cusp of it. The light looked great. This coming, a little highlight here, get that little highlight up there. It's really, really nice. Just going to nuance it just a little bit. And I think we'll have exactly what we need for that shot. Yep. And Andrea, I did not see Andrea's yesterday, so we'll look at Andrea's today. Andrea, this looks to me like a studio black situation. We don't have a behind the scenes shot. Oh, this is Asha's behind the scenes, very nice. But there's no behind the scenes shot for this. This looks like studio black, and it's an uncontrolled reflections become problematic in that they become very, very busy. You've got the makings of a good shot here, okay? The material, this real rich looking material, these bottles, but we've got to control this up. I'm going to suggest a scrim to one side, a white card, and then black cards to block off the studio, or curtains or something, or block off whatever's back there, studio, living room, garage, whatever's going on. It's really, really too busy. So let's fix that up and post it to Facebook and tag me. So, all right, very good. Very good. And I think that was it. Oh, Giannis is behind the scenes. You got to see Giannis. This is how I said he put it together. Really worked to get these things combined, shot this thing a couple different ways and lighting it this way, that way, to really come up with the shot at the end, which is beautiful, beautiful shot. So please take a look at Giannis's behind the scenes. It's like a little mini workshop there in photography. That's the nice thing about working in this group, this tabletop group. It's what we do in Project 52 as well. And that is we have the photographers put their behind the scenes in. When you put the behind the scenes in, everybody gets to learn from everybody else. It's not just a bunch of, let's look at how cool our shots are. This is the shot. This is how I did it. How can I perform better? And it's really, really great. So those of you on the tabletop workshop, again, I apologize for the failure yesterday, but at least I wanted to get in here and remind people what a good job they did. And we'll see you next time. Take care.